Greetings fellow gamers, my name is Garrett Wilson, and welcome to Norse Gaming, your ultimate source of game reviews and previews from Norse media. Do you enjoy dismemberment and blasphemy? The God of War series has brought a slew of graphic action and unholy retribution in an adult fantasy from Greek mythology. In the newest installment, God of War Ascension, Kratos tries to break his bonds with Ares before the first God of War game was ever established. Will our ruthless antihero be able to perform the same death-defying action he has from previous God of War games? Here's our blood-soaked review of God of War Ascension.
Ares, destroy my enemies, and my life is yours!
With these words, our tormented Spartan engraved his infamy into the Greek mythological world. God of War Ascension is the origin of Kratos' tale of exacting his vengeance on Ares before the original series began. In order to alleviate his haunting memories of his horrific deeds, he must break his bond with Ares. However, the anti-hero is being hunted by Furies, three enraged servants to Ares who imprison oath-breakers of the gods for eternity and persecute their inmates with agonizing pain. The first remarkable feature of Ascension is the monolithic landscapes and engrossing graphical structures. Every temple and stronghold is meticulously detailed to the very last stone. The visual experience is like a cinematic movie, marking a great amount of quality put into the graphics. The first stage of Ascension pits the player against the 100-armed Hecatoncheires, and it is one of the most impressive combat experiences to the point it feels like an over-the-top action film similar to Clash of the Titans. Ascension's combat system is the most dynamic in the series. There are plenty of combat options to change between ground-to-aerial combats without feeling tedious. The prequel is the most graphic and gruesome of the series, almost to the point it is too vulgar. Stages will be blood-soaked, plenty enough to where disemboweling Cyclopses and splitting open Gorgons will be routine. Controlling Kratos requires more than just thoughtless button mashing. Timing the sequence of certain moves unlock more potential to chaining ferocious combos that yield a higher experience in gameplay. Absence of different sub-weapons like previous God of War games seemed risky as it enriched the experience that the trilogy was praised for. Instead, elemental weapons replaced the sub-weapons with fire, ice, lightning, and soul embedded into the Blades of Chaos. Each elemental usage comes in the form of slower but more damaging attacks to an element that is strictly used for chaining. Breaking down the combat system into a singular weapon maintains variety in the rhythm of combat, never going stale in enemy encounters. Even though the graphical prowess and traditional combat system are enjoyable, there are some qualities that impair the experience. The visual design may be pleasing, but the overwhelming tonality and color schemes puts a dazing confusion into hectic combat scenarios. Camera angles pan out too far in certain areas where it completely hinders the gameplay experience. Chaos is too simple to describe the awkward situations players will feel when button reaction sequences are too sudden, which leads to some of the most frustrating areas of the game less desirable.
Your mind is troubled.
God of War Ascension has the intention to making the franchise into a more cinematic experience, yet the intention fractures the perception of gameplay and dedicates too much time into the aesthetic environment. Ascension's plot is rather inexplicit due to the shifting and chronological events. While the game's beginning is in the middle of the story, the narrative is diluted from the shifts, killing the intensity of the game created in the beginning. What is worse is the plot distracts the gameplay too far where action sequences are very anticlimactic, and it doesn't bridge the transitions from cinematic to gameplay. Inconsistency settles in the experience, and with the final stage and the trial of Archimedes, players might be exhausted from the straining progress of Ascension.
We have given you all you need for success, and yet you still fail us.
Ascension maintains the core of gameplay without relinquishing the satisfying depth of combos in the newly designed elemental system. Despite being the most graphic of the God of War series, pushing the envelope in graphical violence doesn't obscure the experience. Although visually stunning, it can be distracting with the erratic camera angles ruining the experience, which leads to some of the most frustrating deaths in God of War Ascension. Coupled with an insipid plotline and pacing that derails in the later portion of the game, God of War Ascension won't be able to ascend further into excellence.
The truth will only bring you pain!
Norse Gaming gives God of War Ascension 3 stars out of 5. God of War Ascension shouldn't be overlooked despite having noticeable flaws in gameplay and presentation. It's still worth a pickup as it's one of the more difficult games in the God of War series. Certain fans and newcomers may be discouraged though, as it doesn't have the same profound effect God of War 3 had as it was highly acclaimed for. That's all for today, guys, but on our next episode of Norse Gaming, we'll be taking a look at the highly anticipated BioShock Infinite. The series escapes from submerged confinements from previous titles and ascends to the heavens into a post-Civil War settings that may raise a few eyebrows in this new thematic tale. Thank you for watching, and this is Norse Gaming.